Hello, friends. Welcome back to Human Up TV. My name is Nathan Gangadine, and I'm joined here, as always, with my co-host, Dr. Ashok Gangadine. And this is 1776 now, episode 9, We the People, E Pluribus Unum. This has been an overarching theme for our whole journey, so we're going to try to bring everything together in episode 9 to really wake up the inspiration, really, of every one of us citizens to feel that deep, profound, and awesome responsibility of being a citizen of the United States of America to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're going to get right to it. Benjamin Franklin's been quoted a lot lately. To give you a reference right now, a lot of the impeachment votes, the impeachment vote just happened in the House yesterday. We've been hearing a lot of the representatives on both sides quoting our founding fathers. And that was one that came up several times. A republic, if we can keep it, his famous words. And in a way, we did get a republic from the amazing breakthrough of 1776. But in another way, which it may be bold of us to say, we are suggesting that we haven't quite evolved to what the republic was meant to be quite yet. We've been on our way. We've been making huge leaps and bounds. We've gone through revolutionary wars and civil rights and freeing the slaves, and women can vote, and all kinds of amazing breakthroughs through the centuries, all driven by this promise of a land of the free. And so it's certainly no put down by any means when we say that we're not quite there yet. It should be very exciting. As we keep saying, this is a very dangerous time we're in because of what's at risk. But in a way, it's got to get to this point. We don't want to pretend democracy. We don't want to look like a democracy when behind the scenes it's full of corruption and disarray and, the pluribus, which is the diversity and the many and all the opinions, without the unum, which is the one nation under the law, so to speak. So we want the real deal. What does that really mean? Why have we reached this point where the polarization and just the sheer ability to twist the facts in whatever way works for us? There's no truth. There's no unifying truth. Everybody has their own truth. Everybody has their own opinion, their own perspective. No matter how good one side's argument may be, the other one says, no, actually, I see it this way, and it becomes nah, yaha, nah, yaha, and that's where we're at right now, to put it kind of bluntly, and that is certainly not the United States of America that we can be. That's the guiding spirit of this whole offering that my dad and I have been bringing this whole time, is to help get the source science, as we like to call it, to activate each of us as citizens to be able to be, because, it's not just, we focus so much on the president, the congressmen and women and the senators, and of course they're important, and the Supreme Court judges and the countless, officers, right, that are there to sustain and protect our democracy under the rule of law. But guys, we all are, as citizens, we all are officers. And that's an awesome sense that I don't really think many people have a strong sense of yet. And so we're hoping that at the completion of this episode and this first run of these 9 episodes, and we're going to keep going, believe me, but we're hoping that you really have a sense of how important you are in all of this. Because we know deep down, we understand kind of the grassroots principle of change, but we can't go with the same old form of activism, which in a way is coming from a place of feeling disempowered. And if you come from a place of feeling disempowered, your activision in a way is driving that deeper. And so what does it mean to come to a place of empowerment and let our activision flow from that place of empowerment? That's what we want to activate in you, the activision that is the ultimate activism that will lead to all of the actions that we need to make in order to rise to the United States of America as she is meant to be, for the first time, really. So those will be my opening words. Dad, you've had amazing insights this morning, as always, and I'd like for you to just take it and run. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
You did beautifully in speaking about the Republic. It's not like we were given a pre-made Republic, all a fait accompli, all done. We were given, I would call it a red, white, and blue print to rise to a republic, because we've been suggesting that our founding fathers and mothers were calling us to separate from thought forms and cultural codes that undermine our humanity, and not rise to being full-fledged rational beings, logos sapiens, not Lego sapiens, but logos sapiens, the logos, reason, rational beings, persons, humans, ethics. 1776, we the people is in the we space, not the I-it space, the broken, fragmented un-we. We here is not we. It's a cluster and bundle, but this is a community, a polis, a republic. So what we were given, Nathan, and in that infamous, often quoted Benjamin Franklin, a republic, if we can evolve and mature into it. And let's look at over 250 years. The human condition in the USA has shifted so dramatically, unbelievable, unimaginable, 240, 250 years ago, with a globalization of our cultural space. We're a multicultural, multi-world, multi-perspective, diverse USA. That's what global means. Global in source science, it's not about the globe, a physical globe. It is the invisible cultural globe, the political space, the civic space in which we share our cultures and our worldviews and our perspectives and our diversity. That's a global space. It's ecumenical. It means the state is not in an ideological space. The state can't be here behind these walls of the informationism, objectifying I-it state of rational development. It's deeper. The state is beyond ideology. Religion is beyond ideology. Let's say Christ is beyond ideology. Yoga beyond ideology. Buddha beyond ideology. Science beyond ideology, because ideology buys into and is immersed and submerged within the single bracket technology of informationism, and which is inevitably is going to be ideology, which is going to divide and be more tribal and cultic and localized and localizing and self-privileging. Me first, my group first, we first, against the other, and then you're going to have the division of the yes, no. You know, the is, isn't, the split across the aisle. The aisle is deep, and the different worlds that we can see now in the American USA lab, and say in the impeachment crisis, we're living in two worlds. The two ideologies, dominant ideologies, among many other ideologies of the marketplace. So what you've opened up is that, do we have a republic, a true polis, a democracy? Are we demos, the people, here? Or must we mature and step back from privileging that narrow, monocentric space and move into the open space of dialogue? That's a huge maturation for all humans. And again, we keep reminding our friends, this is not just about USA. USA is a powerful lab on the planetary situation, a holy experiment, but it's for all humans across the planet. In a way, 1776 was not saying we Americans, it was saying all humans are endowed by the source, by God, by the infinite, by the foundation, by being, with unalienable rights of life, liberty, happiness. And here we are downsizing it in a caged, colonized, mentally colonized, rationally colonized space, and not yet maturing into the open mind, the open space, the I-thou space, the dialogue space. And this is really what we want to help go more deeply into. How can it be? Here's a question before we take the song. Nathan, how can it be that vastly diverse stages of humans, in say not only American culture, but across the planet, all of our great cultures and religions and worldviews and disciplines and arts and sciences are all within a technology. And that means we can have a vast diversity in this space, in this technology, from people who might be considered to be more extreme, terrorism, violent, ideologically extreme, and closed off, and dehumanizing the other, to that extreme of being imploded as a mature human, to the most advanced, progressive, liberated minds and geniuses and spiritual teachers and moral religious leaders and scientists and intellectuals at the highest point of activism and goodness, good people. So you can have a spectrum of persons on one extreme within this space that are highly wanting in their humanity and highly humanitarian, open-minded, seeking people who are seeking to get into the high space, but still hitting the walls. And that's what I'd like to talk about. That just because we're in the same boat, it doesn't mean we're the same. And I'd like to just hold that thought, and let's enjoy this opening song. And then we come back and go more deeply.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes proves and liberating strife, who more than self their country love. Mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine till all success be nobleness. Every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for rainbow waves of green, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. God shed her grace on thee. She crowned thy good in brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed His grace on me. He crowned thy good in brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Those lyrics, America the Beautiful, God shed His grace, the source, shed its grace on thee, from sea to shiny sea, a place of brotherhood, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the founding. Again, we're talking of global humans across the planet, but right now we're focusing on the American lab, the Holy Experiment, which is an amazing breakthrough in human history, to see, can we form a republic, a political sacred space where we can be human together in that space of dialogue. And what we're speaking about now, Nathan, you opened up so beautifully, I'd like to take it back to you, is that in the place where we are, in the red zone, we're still fragmented, inherently fragmented by the fragmenter, by the slasher. That puts us in ideology, which means the best we can have is opinion and not truth. We cannot be officers. To be an officer, a citizen, a occupant of the president's office, or the judge's seat, we have to, or the scientist, every human being, we have to be able to step out of our caged minds and lenses and perspectives and stories that we buy into in a kind of absolute way, even multiple stories, and still behind this wall and not able to overcome these prejudices and be prejudgmental in this space, to overcome opinion, to tap into truth. This is a big deal we're suggesting about the path of becoming a rationally awakened, woke sapien, a logos, not a Lego sapien, but a logos sapien. And the question we're posing, and all through these series, is that democracy here, Lego sapiens can't really enter a democracy, demos, a land of people, humans, persons, first persons, not secondary derivative, fragmented persons. That's why we call this a Lego land, Lego relations, Legocracy, a Lego, not a logos. Democracy. This is the place of demos, people, we the people. So the main theme of this meditation journey is, what does it mean to be we the people? E pluribus unum. The unum is the infinite unity. Pluribus is diversity. This is the land of e pluribus unum. And that's the pathway that we have to cross together. And our 7 stages of deep dialogue, 7 stages of becoming an awakened person, a full person, a first person, a rational being, 7 stages of becoming 7 stages of being an American, or whatever nation across the planet, of becoming an awakened human. And this is huge right now in the crisis across the planet, but in the American lab. So I'd like to invite you to follow up.
Well, you know that I know that we've been using e pluribus unum since the beginning, but I think it's just something that really needs to be brought back again and again. I mean, it's all, in a way, it's all right there, you know, in the e pluribus unum, in many one. This is when I make the point that we're on our way to America. America is not a you know, a piece of land that belongs to a cluster of people, as you put it, but and some people are saying things like America is an idea that we can't let die. I shy away from the word idea because it's more profound than just an idea. It's more like a principle. It's a space of reality. I used the analogy in the last episode or two of nature. I mean, nature displays reality, and we have to contend with nature. That's the whole principle behind the climate crisis. If we're destroying the climate, you can't just get away with that, right? You have to deal with the reality of the consequences of what? The laws of nature. What is that? E pluribus unum. We're I, thou. We're all interwoven. We're all together. So if you mess with your brother or you mess with your sister, you're messing with yourself, not in a kind of what goes around comes around one day. It's instantaneous. If we violate the other, we are simultaneously violating ourselves. If we violate the principles of the United States of America in that deeper sense, we're violating ourselves. We're kicking ourselves out of America. And so e pluribus unum is like this profound, you know, underlying principle that everybody has to answer to. And as I'm stepping back and watching the proceedings, you know, it's beyond, you can take your sides, but if we're in that spirit, no matter how justified and how right you feel you are about your stance, one thing you can't deny, the reality principle here is, if we don't rise higher to e pluribus unum, to we the people, nobody wins. I mean, it's such an obvious point. Nobody's going to win if they're voting for their own a myopic perspective. We have all got to let go of something really big in order to arrive in we the people. And citizens, we can't say we've got to get the right people in office and then everything will be all right. That's silly. That's so ridiculous. We have to all get this. We have to all get activated in order to be we the people. So that e pluribus unum theme that's running through, which is another way of saying we the people, e pluribus unum, in many one. Look at the diversity of nature. Is it separate? No, it's all interwoven. The trees and the breeze and the creatures and the sky and the earth and the rain and the winds and it's all, and the fires and everything. It's all in the kind of the butterfly effect sort of way, all interconnected, right? And that's the field of reality. Well, I believe America, in this deeper sense, the land of the free, again, not a literal physical land that we're claiming, but a space where we can finally join that sacred flow that nature displays so beautifully, and which we have bastardized ourselves from, or trying to, or even blindly doing so. Can we join that fabric of the reality of the world we're in, not just in America, but the whole world that we're in? If we don't join that higher code that governs nature, that higher law of I, thou, of e pluribus unum, in many one, then we are going extinct. We're making ourselves extinct. It's almost like if we don't evolve within our lifetimes to that higher ethic of the human being, we condemn ourselves to going extinct. And you don't vote on that. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't ego vote on, the environment, so to speak. We all have to get woke or we're done. If that's when we say it's life and death, that's what we mean. So does that make sense, how I just laid that out for us?
I'd like to take it from there, what you beautifully said, is that why is this so? The question of facing our human condition, when we're trying to do our historical, scientific diagnostic, medical diagnostic of our human condition, our existential condition, under the influence of behind this, within that matrix, information stage of thinking, of experience making, of world making, of self making, of narrative, the narratives we have in this narrative technology. Mm-hmm. We don't realize it's cutting us off from a deeper version of ourselves. So what you're beautifully saying is this is not new. This has been going on in our human evolutionary drama for millennia. And say for the last 25 years of history here in this temporal sense, we've been struggling. Our great teachers have been trying to call us to step back and see this.
You said 25 years. I assume you meant 2,500.
2,500 years or before, because evolution is, millennia. But just to choose that moment, 2,500 years across our teachers, scriptures, wisdom, calling us to somehow make a shift, to evolve. Why? Because it's dangerous, it's suffering, it's fragmented. So what you're pointing out, people are meant to understand that when we're stalled in a cultural ecology, we are culture sapiens. We're living in a cultural space, not just a physical space. Mm-hmm. We're living in a culture, and if the culture is unsustainable, then our human energy field is not sustainable, and we can't flourish. Our culture will implode. And that's a life and death, not a biological life, physical, but really that's implied. But our shared cultural space is unsustainable in a broken, fragmented, Lego chop space. Mm-hmm. And what you beautifully suggested, not that if you could, the deeper science, what we call science, people might say, wait a minute, we have science here. We have physics and mathematics and computer science and chemistry, biology, medical science. We have science. What are you talking about? We're talking about the deeper quest for what is first. Across the planet, the greatest genius is saying there's something first. It's deep. We can't put it where we are in our stage of language. We've got to go deeper to get it. We've got to cross into that. That's the evolutionary drama. And it's hard to understand that evolution, the evolution to what is first on the ground floor. Mm-hmm. And that's life and death. So survival, if we're cut off from a deeper encounter with what is on the ground floor of being, reality, which you beautifully said, the consensus is that it's because it's infinitely unum. It's infinitely connect. Unum means you can't break pieces. There are no Lego separate pieces. There are no atomic separate elements here. We do that here. And that creates a Legoland, and we do it because the dominant, unspoken, invisible law at this stage of A is A. Everything has its name and its ID and its own space. And that leads to the ideology, what we said before. And I really don't, I want to pick up on this theme again, not because when we say something that can sound outrageous to the public at large, people will say, look, I'm a good person. And my homies are creative. We're activists. We're doing self-help. We're spiritually awakened people. We're rational. We're critical thinkers. We do dialogue, you know. We've got medicine. We've got advanced internet technologies and so forth. They're good people, and we don't confuse us and lump us with people who are, in our judgment, really suffering and extreme and terrorists and people who are in extreme forms of dehumanized ways of life. We're not like them, what we call bad or evil people. And we're not like that. And that's true. There's a vast difference in this technology. That's the main point we've not been getting, despite the great teachings, that we've got to let go of something deep in order to rise. We've got to die to rise, so to speak. Die not in the sense of biological, but cultural. Our narrative, our story that we cling to, that is us. That's my ID. I am my narrative. And we have a lens of the mind, everyone, and we have a lens. But there are many different lenses. That's the point. That's what an ideology is. An ideology is a narrative, a story, a cluster of ideas that gives me my world, my experience, my life, my politics, my religion, my science, my education, and my love life, my family life. It's all in that space. And they're vastly diverse forms of making sense of the world. We couldn't do it without the funding of the infinite. We couldn't have anything without the infinite, without the source, without being. This is the word. This is reality. It's being. And so what we've been suggesting is that in this technology, don't take it personally in a way. There's a technology where you say yes or no. Snow is white or snow is not white. Sun is shining or it's not. America is a democracy or it's not. I believe in God. I don't believe in God. Theism, atheism. I'm pro-choice, you're pro-life. It's Big Bang, it's Genesis. We can always have the other story. And in the bipartisan state, in the American lab, you might have an extreme moment where the Republicans are seeing the world one way, the Democrats are seeing it differently, and they're across the aisle, but they're in different worlds. And there are two USA. There's USA here and USA here, Constitution here, the Constitution here. I see the law, I stand for the law, you don't. And so we do and you don't. And there's a back and forth pointing of fingers at the other ideology. And there's no meeting, no common ground. And if there is no common ground, that's the depth of the splitter. And without intending it, we good people having a lens and therefore a story that we take to be true. I can be a Christian and I've got my Jesus, I can be a Muslim, I've got my Allah, I've got my Quran. I'm a Jew, I've got Moses, right? I'm a scientist, I've got my science. Don't question that. So this space of narratives, stories, there's a vast range of stories and qualities of mind and ways of life. And we could see the wide range from good people to not good people, but they're still in the same place.
Yeah. And a lot of the, almost every time I turn on the news, and again, I watched all the news channels. I like to get that perspective of hearing all the sides. So we want to reiterate, this is a nonpartisan effort. This is an effort for America to really become a reality in that deeper sense. But on one side, they're saying, number one agenda, get Trump out of office, right? And the reason I'm bringing that up is while they've got their strong reasons to take that stance, it's also very short-sighted because, guys, whoever gets into office, if we misdiagnose this situation and don't see that, which you were just so beautifully describing, because, guys, what we're trying to do is not throw the baby out with the bathwater. You say it again and again. I believe we're all good people. But if we're going, but those guys aren't. And so, you know what we're going to do is get our guy in power or our girl in power, our woman in power, our man in power, and they'll just have to deal with it. You know, and we carry on like that, guys, it's just going to happen even worse down the road. It does not have to get worse than it is right now, but we have to, you know, just stop for a second. Step back, because there's a franticness and there's a panicky, you know, discourse going on right now, and a lot of fear running the show, a lot of fight and flight running the show right now, not just in our leaders, but all of us. And we've got to stop, step back, and see the same boat, right? No matter how justified we feel we are, it's when we say die to be born again, to quote Jesus, you know, or you know, you can jump over to a Zen and say, die before you die is another version of that. Why is it die? Because to let go of the stronghold of your ideology, no matter how right you feel it is, to let that go in order to see each other through each other's eyes, to quote a song we're about to play, to have the boldness because what it is that ideology and the fixity of that ideology and the company that it sets us in with our homies, whoever your homies are, that's almost an illusory sense of safety. And we forget that the big picture is holding us. That's, you know, in this song that's coming up, She's Holding You Right Now is the name of the song is She's Holding You. And she, meaning the infinite, that space, that deeper space, which is getting eclipsed by our frantic, you know, vying for the high ground, you know, at the cost of that deeper principle, that deeper space. So that everyone, for example, is twisting the Constitution in their own way to suit not the Constitution, not the principles of the Constitution, but how can I spin it in my way to get to our ends? You know, and again, even if you feel I've got the more accurate reading of the Constitution, clearly, you know. So I'm going to stand for that, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Again, guys, we got to go higher. But if we don't remember that we're being held by a deeper principle, we're not going to be able to get over that fight or flight response that comes from letting that go. So I think it's a brilliant time to let this song wash over us and really let the lyrics hit you and let the music hit you, because it's a reminder to breathe. It's a reminder to not demonize the other. We don't need to demonize the other when we come to that deeper sense of security, the kind that can't be taken away, which comes with and from getting woke. So if you have anything to say about this particular song before I hit play, feel free.
Beautifully set the context beautifully. And then what cuts us off from access to the unum, the place of we talk of brotherly, sisterly love, human love, one another, right? What goes on in this space is a demonizing of the other, is an alter-phobia. We can't see the other because of our own narrative, which dominates, and we put our narrative first, our ID first, our perspective first, and that we see the other through that lens, and we violate the other. We can't see the other really. We can't open our minds. So this line of crossing into the awakened rational space is where we're going to dialogue, and we can dare to open ourselves to the other and see the other, whatever other nature, the other person, the other religion, the other gender, whatever it may be. We can encounter the other in an I-thou sacred space. This is the heart of the demos, the democracy, of the law, of being an officer. If we can't open up our minds, we can't be an officer.
Right.
And we can't see the law. We can't see the law. What is the law? The law is the fabric of the infinite forest of being. It's inscribed, reason. The logos is the law. And it's inscribed in the fabric of reality, the flow of reality, which we cut off here into Legoland.
Yep.
And so each of us will download the law to see it in our way, or 1776, so that we have different USAs across the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in two worlds. And we have no common ground, because ultimately all we can have is opinion. What is it? Not truth. Truth is here. We have to open up to truth. And that truth and knowledge is in the unum space, where things are connected, reality. Mm-hmm. Truth is a flow of reality. But when we download truth into our place, we have opinion. Mm-hmm. Opinion is my belief. I take it to be true. And that's when the finger pointing starts. Your truth is your opinion, right? Say the Republican Democrats in this battle of impeachment, each are looking at different evidence. They're seeing it in different ways with different lenses, right? And each points a finger at the other. Each is violating the Constitution. Each is violating the law. But you can't find the law when you're an outlaw, when you're in your separate privileged perspective, behind in the red zone. You can't you have opinion, and you take your opinion to be the truth. And what is opinion? Truth is my story is true if I can get numbers, greater numbers to support me. It's truth by numbers. Opinion,
yes, right, exactly.
Truth by numbers,
yeah, and
not truth by source, by reality.
It's a majority, right?
For example, or a group, or your homies.
Yeah, exactly.
You're we. You can have different we's here.
Yeah.
But it's not we the people. The main topic of this meditation is we the people, e pluribus unum, to be officers, not to be prejudiced by our dominant story and not able to open up for dialogue. When you're in monologue, you can't really tap the 1776. You can't see what a principle is. A principle is other. This is a huge point now. The other here that is always packaged with your lens. It's not the genuine other. And if you can't open up to stage one of entering in the open space, you can't see what is higher. Mm-hmm. And that's the law. The law is deeper than my perspective of it. Than any of our perspectives. It's deeper. The law, the flow of reality, the moral law, the law of logos, or whatever name we use. This is a huge point. So a human, the Lego version of ourselves is not qualified democracy. We have to rise and human up and become awakened in reason to be qualified for dialogue, which is a place of sacred democracy. We have to become a people. To be we the people, we've got to be persons.
Yes.
First persons.
Yes.
Enter the place of truth and not beyond opinion.
Right. And
I think she's holding the source, reality, is holding us right now. The red zone is being held and sustained by the source.
And it's big enough. It's big enough for difference. That's one of the things I keep thinking is that, our idea at first of going to that place of dialogue, if we're really, identified with our identity, our ideology, then that could seem like, a place where we're all one means that I lose that. I don't have me anymore. whose ideology is gonna rule then? No, I don't want that. I don't want one world's order, that kind of mentality, and want to be very clear that a higher space, we haven't gotten there yet. In a way, as we ended last episode, we're already here, but we're cut off from it. We're cut off from being it, realizing it. And it's a space of bliss, and it's a space of love, and all those songs of love, and, and brotherly love and sisterly love and coming together. It all sounds woo-woo when we say it down here. Like, yeah, whatever, that's just daisies in the end of rifles, that's not going to do anything. But there's a badass love. There's a badass America. There's a badass we the people. That's when we're saying we haven't gotten there yet. Why? Because what makes it badass? Letting go.
Courage.
Deep. Yeah, it takes courage, man, for us to really do that. So this is not an age of Aquarius, come on, people, now smile on your brother. I love those songs, by the way. But when those songs come and go, we go, yeah, that didn't work, all you need is love. Yeah, really? Well, it doesn't seem like it. So, but we haven't realized those principles yet because we need the deeper science. And every one of us citizens, especially those of us who are ready for that evolutionary leap to step up now in a way that is unassailable. You can't take it away. And so, okay, so we've gone on long enough. I want to play the song, but keep this in mind. It's saying, I know that letting go is hard, but she's holding you. So here we go.
I know letting go is so hard when all you've known is your heart, holding on to all you know. My friend, please remember the end of that glowing embers, the end of a song that brought you to this dawn. All that you are missing is you right here, and all that you're afraid of is only fear. Now's the time for everyone to rise, to see each other through each other's eyes. There's no way to know where we'll go. It's where we've always known. It's where we're meant to be, yeah. So let go of all you've foreseen. Those eyes on for predicting the light is waiting for you here. Surprise, there's nothing here to fear, yeah. All that you are missing is you right here, and all that you're afraid of is only fear. Now's the time for everyone to rise, to see each other in each other's eyes. You to know this, there's no way to blow this. We flow with the wind that she blows. So let go, rise into this unknown, but sure as this is my soul, she's holding you right now. Holding you right now, yeah. She's holding you right now.
It makes me think of one of the relics of the future, as we like to call it, that's that we're going to be bringing in, the Statue of Liberty quote, the famous quote. I was thinking of "she's holding you," you know, and we read that in terms of immigration. But if we bring it kind of to its deeper meaning, and we think of, you know, the tempest tossed and the masses yearning to breathe free, it really speaks to the call that she's holding you right now, you know, bring me your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. That's us. You know, we're already, how can you say that? We're already in America, you know, there's nowhere to go. No, there is. Now it's time. We've set up shop, but now it's time to arrive, you know, in the land of the free. So I think I'd like to bring that up at some point. You know,
it's a good time to bring it up as a focal point for our next part of our conversation, Nathan. Yes. All that you have to fear is fear. This is a fearful place. This is, we're cut off from ourself, from reality, from the God space, from the source space. And that's a very medically, in terms of source science, medically, that creates a vacuum in us. That creates fear.
It's terror. Terror.
Right. And this is normalized. This is whatever your cultural orientation or your narrative or your homies that you live with, your cult, your culture, your tribe, whatever you want to call it, right? It's comfortable, but it hurts because you're cut off from yourself, right? All that's missing is you. This version of yourself, when you're in this technology, it cuts you off, it severs you and eclipses your higher version of yourself. And it feels scary to cross. If there's a phobia of yourself, autophobia of yourself, and alterphobia, phobia of the other, of the strange, a phobia of the God space, of the source space, of being. Being. We don't have to use God words. We're scared to be because it calls upon us to do something, to grow up, to mature.
That's right.
And in the American journey, with the unfinished American evolution that's called out by 1776, says, folks, let's form a republic. Unum pluribus. We the people. We govern. We self-govern. We have to become first persons, officers of Logos. It's Logos who is first. And to become a human, for all humans across the planet, we're all endowed with these rights to be. And we're being called to be and and it takes to officership to be a human, not just a president or a Congress senator or a congresswoman or a judge as officer or a professor, whatever the office may be, but all humans are officers of Logosophia. And if we can't see the other, if we don't have the courage to see not my version of the other in the I-it space, but to open up, to dare to open up in an open mind, open scientific, rational, critical thinker, rational being, to see the other, each other, which is the place of ethics, mature reason, the law of reason. And that's the 1776 call to law. No one's above that law because this is the law. It's not law here. It's not mind-made or an agreement or convention that we have.
Yes.
Because our lens will divide the law. So if the Constitution is here, that's what we're seeing in the impeachment hearing now. One ideology on one side, let's say the Republicans, see, we hold the Constitution and you're violating it. And the Democrats are saying, you're violating the Constitution, our democracy is in danger. And each is seeing the other as a danger for the democracy here, rather than rising beyond our ideology and our opinion.
That's right.
Dare to enter into the place of truth. We've got to evolve to the Republic. The Republic. But keep going. What did you want to bring up?
Well, I was going to read
the relics of the future. When you use those words, Nathan, the relics of that's inscribed in our psyche in the American scene, like the Statue of Liberty quotation, like the Star-Spangled Banner, like our flag, right? All the terms, e pluribus unum. These relics have to be seen in the new light. The relics of the future. And so our unfinished 1776 call, and it's across the planet for everyone, each in their own way. So even though we're using the 1776 point in the American lab, really in the sense that it's really the lab for all humans to make in their own way the crossing out of this fragmented Lego land of separate pieces and fragmentation into the whole holy land, the holistic land, the integral land of organic living and organic, when we're flowing with the world and with nature. The climate issue, for example, there's a piece of physical environment and the climate danger is only one symptom of the red zone, which is the climate of opinion, the climate of culture, the climate of consciousness. That is deep, because we make our worlds with how we use our consciousness. And the red zone is the technology of consciousness, of world making. The red zone is a climate problem. And we could diagnose the climate air, but if we want to be an activist and deal with the climate, we've got to deal with the deepest technology.
Source of emissions.
The source of emission. The fallout. We call it in an earlier episode the matrix effect.
Yes.
All of the pathologies across our culture, vast sexism, racism, homophobia, ethnic cleansing, opioids, narcissism, on and on, suicide, gun issues, nuclear weapons, you name it. It comes from this being in the fragmented cultural world-making technology space where we objectify everything around us. The consumerism. We need stuff to stuff ourselves so we can feel whole when we're cut off from our true self.
Our wholeness.
And the vacuum in ourself, right, that hurts because we know something is wrong. We're in a midlife crisis all the way through our life. We're always in a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Life is a crisis here.
Yeah.
And our teachers have been calling us for millennia to please rise to the occasion, to be a human. So this is an ancient call. And 1776 was part of tapping the wisdom of mankind, or humankind, right? Wisdom. So in the opening lines of the Declaration, right, with respect to the wisdom of humans, of the journey across a planet, is to rise to become a human, a first person. So these relics of the future, we're saying, if we just see them in the past tense here, they're old. No, we haven't tapped them yet.
We haven't gotten them yet, exactly.
We haven't tapped the meaning of the flag, or e pluribus unum. We haven't heard it. We can't hear it here.
Yeah.
Un unum, un pluribus.
Well, and I'm gonna let's test this out right now with looking. I'll bring up right now the words of the Statue of Liberty, the famous words, and I'm gonna put the decoders on there. But as I read it, I want you to hear this as addressing not some immigrants over across the pond or something, or anywhere in the world, but to see this. The deeper meaning of this is the source calling us home through the golden door, if you will, which you represent in that blue line, that opening to the promised land. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." And just to give some writer credit to that amazing piece, Emma Lazarus wrote that. I think the 1880s, if I recall correctly. But listen to that. I mean, give me your tired. You're tired. That's us. We're tired. We're weary. We're used to it, but we're fried, man. The people are fried. We're stressed. Look at the opiate crisis, for example, or just turn on the TV, for God's sake, and just all of the prescriptions, to deal with our medical conditions, which again are sourced back at this deep severance from the homeland, so to speak, the space of presence, the space of love, the space of life. So we're tired and you're poor. Don't think of that in terms of just money. Think of that as being ontologically deprived, deprived of the meaningfulness of life that is our birthright, our life, liberty, happiness. Could it be that we think we have that, but we actually don't? We've been saying that all along. Are we the land of the free? What does that really mean? Can we just say that, or do we have to earn it? So this is, in this rendering of this beautiful poem, the poor. To be poor is to be cut off from that meaning and that freedom. Your huddled masses, that's us, yearning to breathe. What's that? To breathe free, right? You can be in a free country, but not be free, really. How many ways do we shut each other down? How many ways do we silence each other? How many ways do we violate each other? How many ways are we afraid of being who we really are? So is free mean that you're accustomed to self-suppression and editing and dialing yourself down to belong? I belong. I'm safe, right? That's free. Safe means free. No, right? So breathe free. We're there. And so wretched refuse, that sounds really intense. The wretched refuse, the exhaust, the emissions, the exhaustion, the sadness, the depression, the sorrow, the anxiety, the fear of your teeming shore, which I would say is sort of the underside of that red line there, right? And send these, the homeless, to be homeless doesn't mean to not have a roof over your head, but to forget that she's holding you right now. To be homeless is to feel on a deep, deep level afraid, because as you said, we're trying to the consumerism, which can be very quickly tied to the exhaustion and emissions of the planet, as we try to ship everything as fast as we can to fill the void with consuming. Why? Because we don't feel whole, we don't feel complete. Why? Because we're cut off from our wholeness, and no amount of things or status or love or any of it, love in this space, is going to compensate sufficiently that deep sense of lack. So in that sense, we're all homeless until we come home. Tempest tossed by the disarray and confusion and the violence and all that we face, and even just the hurried pace of life and the confusion and disarray of life in the Lego space without the unum. We're confused even within our own lives. We're tempest tossed. Send the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp. That's the source light. That's the guiding light of the Logos beside the golden door. That's the opening that is available to all of us right where we sit, right where we stand, no matter our societal status, economic status, or any of it. Right now, each of us equal opportunity to open the golden door, and arrive home. So that would be my fly-through rendering of this in the light that we are bringing, as a relic of the future for all of us.
Mm-hmm. That's beautifully said, Nathan. That's when you see the quotation here, or you tap the Logos language, the Logos word, the word power, where you open up the full poetic force of the lyrics, as your songs do as well. And 1776, if you could see it here, you read it within the space of information. And information is disinformation, because any narrative is going to eclipse the other and be disinformational. That's why each story taking itself to be true will blame the other for fake news. Any news here is going to be seen by the other, and the other ideology as distorting their news. So it's going to be fake. So my truth is not the same as your truth. My reading of the Constitution is not yours. My taking of the law is not yours. You're outlaw, I'm in-law, so to speak. And so that battle of opinionism, which we call sophistry is taking the appearance to be real. Mm-hmm. We download reality and the real evidence of the law of love, of relationship. This is a relation song that you shared last time. We download it within our language and our level of translation. We translate this into our language on our terms, my story. So I've got my Jesus. And if it's an ideology, it's not Jesus, not Christ. Because the essence of Jesus, I am the way, the truth, and the life, was getting us to stop being ideological, tribal, local. The Christ is global in that sense for all people. It's ecumenical. This is one of the main points I'd like to make now. That here we're not ecumenical. It's church versus state. No, it's not that the state has an ideology and the church is another ideology, and keep your religious ideology out of the public, political ideology. No, we've got to go beyond ideology. That's what we haven't gotten. Mm-hmm. 1776 is not a call to have an ideology and to battle it out and to have the dominant ideology rule, and that's your unum. That's not unum. That's a unity, and a forced unity that violates the other, and plurality. Pluralism has to do in the pluralistic space and pluribus without losing the unum. The unum is pluribus, the pluribus is unum. That's unum e pluribus unum, which is the title of this meditation. Mm-hmm. So back to the original point, to suggest something as bold as to saying that there's a deeper sense of sophistry or relativism or subjectivism or monocentric. All of these words are the same point, which means I've got my story, I've got my truth, and even it's shared with others, and that's my collective opinion, truth in numbers. But if you don't have the unum, if you don't have the resources of the integral rational light, the Logos, if you don't have the Logos code, you're going to be divided in the Lego land, the Lego space. And my truth is not the same as your truth. Atheism, theism, same box. As diverse and opposite as they are. So the polar stories give different realities, different worlds, and they reject and exclude each other. And each doesn't see the other. in an open way, because there is no open mind. It's always prejudiced by the lens that you're using on the other. And the main point we're seeking to make is that 1776 democracy is not a call to ideology. It's a call to let go of any political bands and conventions or rational forms of making our worlds, or technologies or logics or logistics, whatever name you use, that cuts us off from the source and from our dignity, life, liberty, happiness, well-being. Mm-hmm. Well-being is being. Mm-hmm. And if we're cut off from being by a technology of informationism, Google information, right, and that's where we read our gospel, the gospel story is not a local story, an ideological story. I've got my Jesus and all of the sectarian alternative versions of interpretation of that Christ or that God. You can't have God here. God is global. But global doesn't mean the globe, but deeper than that. It means the source of all worlds, of all narratives, the infinite word, whether it's God or Yahweh or Allah or Buddha, whatever name, or Om or Tao, whatever name you use for the infinite. It's the source of all narratives.
Yeah.
That's what global means. And so the evolution of this space, the political space of USA, for example, in the USA Holy Experiment, in that lab, 250 years, what's the greatest lesson we can get from source science? Is that the Lego technology and human, that version of ourselves and of our story making and of our identities and our political civic space hasn't worked, and it cannot work. And now the latest dramas are showing that we're living in different worlds. We're not one people. We're not one constitution. We're not one law. We can't find the unity. We have no unum. Why? Because this technology is an ununum. It's a desourcer. It's a slasher. It's a shredder. It's Legoland. And democracy, we the people, demos, people, cannot be in Legoland. That's not the land of the free. That's colonized by the technology that shaped all of our lives and has a matrix effect of a wide-ranging pathologies, dysfunctions, and breakdowns in the human relations. This is a suffering space, and it's not new, as you said, Nathan. In the Eastern culture, samsara. This is samsara. It is a human condition of being cut off from the source, from Brahman, from Om, from the Dharma, whatever name, from Zen, right? To be cut off from that is to be fragmented. To be fragmented is to be unwhole and in pieces, and it's a crisis. It's an existential medical crisis to be here. And it's going to show up in every aspect of our cultural lives. And the point we're making is that the range of possibilities within this technology is boundless. You can always change your story. You could always upgrade. You could always make the difference between lower and higher, transcendental and immanent, higher and lower, divine and sacred and profane. You could do all of that here. You could scientific and unscientific, religious and whatever. And you make differences.
Change the policies and write new bills and, change.
You do that, and then you're still going to be partisan. That's the point. What's a partisan? It's an ideology. And it's not bipartisan. 1776 is not saying be a partisan, have an ideology, and it's a land of ideology. That's not. Partisanship is Legoship, and it's broken, and we can't meet. We can't honor one another. We can't be a political polis. We can't have a civic space. People are shouting, this is not us. We're better than this. Our civic space is better. It's uncivil. Well, the rhetoric of our language is bitter and angry and caustic and dehumanizing to one another. Where is that coming from? It's coming from the matrix effect. The medical maturing of this space is showing up in the life of the people, and it's unsustainable. It's a matter of life and breath. And we've got to breathe. And that's the point. Citizen, this is a major point I hope people will get for we the people, Nathan. That we here is unwe. It's a cluster of Lego collections. That's the best we can do in Legoland. And single bracket relations are not double bracket I, thou, sacred relational flow of brotherhood and sisterhood and parenthood and lovehood and citizenship and officership. And we can't be officers if we're locked into our perspective and our lens. The essence of being an officer is being able to encounter what is higher. If I can't encounter an other higher than my story, I can't see the law. I can't see a principle. A principle here in my story, we talk about I'm a principled person. I'm a moral person. But ethics, the law of ethics, the law of the land here is greater than our stories and our ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
To be a human is not to be a partisan.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good thing. I have my agenda. I have my interests. I've got what I want, what I need, and I'm going to elect my representative to represent the constituency and bring my agenda in and fight it out in the space of politics of the greatest number of rules, if you have the majority, and so forth. That's not healthy democracy, demos. So the main point I hope people will get is that all humans, all of us, not just the officers we elect. An officer is a high station of rational intelligence. You have to be able to enter dialogue space and see the higher. So I can have my view. For example, in the showdown in the USA lab at this point of impeachment, there are those who believe that the president should not be impeached. The president should be impeached. And each will stand across the aisle in their absolute truth. And that's the end of that story. No negotiation. So how can you have a fair trial? What's a fair trial in the Senate? If I have my mind made up, can I really be open to listen to the evidence as an officer of the law? You can't be an officer here. You have to be able to. So I can have this version of myself that says, you know what? In my guts, I feel that he should be impeached or not be impeached, but I'm going to listen now as an officer, put on my cap, this cap as an officer, my high self. That's the demos. That is the person. That is the awakened being. And that's the vote we must make. Each of us now, 2020, for example, on the American scene, but it's across the planet for all of us. What do we vote? Vote here or vote up? What does that mean? Decide now it's time to break the tyranny and to become free at last. We've got to vote, and that makes us co-founders with our founding fathers and mothers who called us. Can we be a republic, a polis, a true democracy? All humans across the planet, each in our own way. Can we be self-governing? If I'm living here, this version of myself is not autonomous, not free, not self-governing. If my own personal life is not self-governance, why would a cluster of millions of us with our separate stories and agendas in Legoland, be autonomous and be able to self-govern? We can't. Self-governance is to be awakened in rational life, in reason, in the law. This is the law of the land. And no one's above this law. And it's not mind-made. It's source-given.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to vote up now to survive now, to save our republic. It's in danger. We know. Everyone's seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Democracy here is in grave danger. The Constitution is threatened. The law of the land is threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Who's above the law? Because we haven't seen the depth of the law in the unum pluribus space of the Logos Code. This is the Logos language, the Logos Code, Logos reason, where our words are not being violated and downsized on our terms behind this line. So what you're pointing about, the long way in suffering, whether it's the biblical tradition says sin, we're born in sin. What's the cut? This is a sin zone, to use that language. We're cut off from access to God, to Christ, to source, to the sacred space. We're cut off. And how do we overcome that? How do we let go? And so the Jesus version of the narrative is that Jesus, I am the way, sacrifice so that we may be saved and can rise. For example, I'm using that language. We could speak Muhammad, a call to Allah, to surrender. Allah is first. Mm-hmm. Or Moses, the law, the burning bush is here. It's not here.
Yeah, yeah. I think I love what you're saying. It's really, really powerful, and we need to wrap up now. But I'm wanting to end with this song that really, I could say that this is the song that started it all for me as far as my musical path. And it speaks to what you're saying, we are the world, we are the children, we are the future. Hear it in this light now. And, this song is so dear to me because of I remember sitting in my family room floor, and must have been 1985 or something like that. It was on HBO. I remember sitting there and watching it on the TV screen there, and feeling the power of it, even at that age, feeling the resonance of this kind of future human culture that we're on the precipice of. So I'd like to end with this song, and I hope you enjoy.
I remember, Nathan, when you heard this song as a young boy, and we were all deeply moved
Remember
by
that?
it. And it was amazing, and you did capture your heart. And I think it does call us, we are the world, we are the people. And I think the poetry and the lyrics really speak deeply to our theme, e pluribus unum, one nation under source indivisible. The state of the union, the state of the unum.
All right, here we go.
There comes a time when you heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a brighter day, just you and me. Send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free. As God has shown us by turning stone to bread, so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a brighter day, just you and me. And when you're down and out, and there seems no hope at all, but if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall. We must realize, oh, that a change can only come when we stand together as one. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a brighter day, just you and me. Oh, it's true, we make a brighter day, just you and me. It's true, we make a brighter day, just you and me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and if you've joined us for all of them. proud of you for hanging in there and joining us with all this and getting stronger with us and becoming We Are the World with us and We Are America with us. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep taking the science deeper and deeper, as always, to help you get more empowered to become a citizen as well, a true citizen, and to vote up, which we'll go into deeper next time.
So Nathan, in closing, beautiful. That was a very moving song. I mean, I almost heard it for the first time.
Me too.
And when we hear the word world, some people who are really like America first, we first, I don't want to give up our unique local land. In the sense we are the world, we are the people, as if it's a global thing. There's this fear of global, but we shouldn't be afraid of global, because America is a global land in this sense, ecumenical. Ecumenical means it's not an ideology-riddled space. It's ideology-free. Whatever story we carry and have, we can do it without the ideological entrapment. If I'm carrying the Jesus story and that is my truth, I don't give it up. I upgrade it to a version of it that's not an ideology, but a true gospel.
It doesn't have to cut everything out.
It doesn't have to cut out the other and be exclusivist in that localism tribe. It doesn't have to be tribal and cultic. My story doesn't have to be cultic. That's ideology. Ideology is a cultic, tribal, localizing that excludes the other and violates the other. And that is un-American. Unwoke is un-American in this sense. And we are a global space. That's a polis. The polis, logos, is global in the sense of all alternative, multiple, pluribus worldviews and perspectives and narratives are welcome in this land of the free. And they don't duke it out with each other in ideological wars and civil wars. It's the end of civil war, uncivil wars, a clash of worlds, and into a place of harmony and sisterly brotherly love. We'll arrive in Philadelphia. So to be local is to be global in that sense. So it doesn't mean we have to give up our uniqueness and specificity of, say, the land of America. That's why the song America is so poignant to begin this one. And We Are the World to end this, because that's America. So we will continue, Nathan, in episode 10, 11, 12, to go deeper and deeper, because everything turns on this. We're saving our lives. We can be free, right? If we start giving up and voting up, and that's the vote. We're inviting our fellow citizens on the American land, for example, but around the world, to vote up. Let go of this. Vote. Your vote is not to stay here, but to upgrade your vote to be in the land of the free, to be your whole self and the best version of yourself as a first-person officer of the law, a citizen. And that's really what we're going to take deeper next time. So I hope our friends who've been courageous to stay with us will join us again.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful. We'll see you next time, guys.